Hello and welcome back, guys. So far we have a good way to limit this edit and delete thingy, but there's a slight problem we still have here in terms of security. Now let's say I'm actually a lecturer and I am allowed to edit and delete classes. The only problem is this. Let's say I'm a lecturer at a school. Obviously there are other lecturers who are going to create and delete classes, right? They have those privileges. But I shouldn't be able to delete a class that was created by another lecturer, because in the current scenario, one lecturer can delete a class that was created by another lecturer, which is not good. They may be having a fight or something, and someone could say, I'll delete all your classes, and they would have privileges to do that, because the only thing it checks for is whether or not you are a lecturer, and therefore it will give you access to these things. So we have to limit such things when it comes to editing and deleting content. Now we can limit, for example, the privileges here. Let's say schools should only be seen by super users, for example. Also, we have to limit which super user can delete a particular school or not, because you have to be that user that created it in order to delete it. Now, this is up to you to decide whether super users, all of them, can delete a particular school, etc., etc. So at least we should have the option to do that, right? So let's see how we can create something to check for this issue. Now, of course, we're going to use the auth again. Now, exactly the way this is fine, but we need one more. Now, we're going to create another public static function right here. And once we have those two functions operating, then we can go ahead and limit the access to everything else. So let's start here by saying, let's see. Now this one, instead of saying access, we're going to call this one I own content, because it describes what we are trying to do. So I'll just say I own content. Yes, because we don't know what content we'll be talking about. And in here, we're going to present an empty array of a row. So row is equal to array. Yes, array. Actually, this will be an empty object. So I'm just going to say object like this, object like so, and then empty array. Or I could simply do it like this. Shortcut, yes. So this is an empty object. And that's because items are usually objects. The rows are usually objects. Now the reason we need the row is because we want to check what's inside the row and what it has. So if is set. So I'm just going to say if is set in this row. Now before we check for anything, it's always a good idea to return false at the end, just in case nothing works out. Then we'll have some fallback. So if is set row. Now what I want to check for here is the user ID, right? The user underscore ID. So let me check why this is so. Now if I go to any content in my table, it has a user ID, right? Unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, we have no such thing in here, but we can fix that anyway. So let's go to schools, for example. If I go to schools, there's a school ID and there's a user ID. Now this user ID is who created this school. So what I need to know is, does the user ID in this row of that I want to delete, does it have my user ID? Then it means I own this content, right? If I go to classes, same thing. There is a user ID of who created this class. So only I should have access to delete it, or if I am the admin, then I can delete this. So only the super admin, the admin, and the one who created the content can delete it. So here we're checking for user ID. Okay, so if is set user ID, good. And what do we do with this? We just compare that user ID to my user ID right now. Now, the thing is, I can't own any content if I'm not signed in. So obviously we will copy this part here. This will stand as usual. So copy that and put it here. So if this is not set, then obviously I'm unqualified to own anything because I'm not logged in, so return false. And then we go to the next level. If the user ID is set, then all we need to do is check what the user ID is that I have. So I'll put an if statement and say if user ID, user, and user ID is equal to this row user ID right here. So this means the person that's logged in, the user ID is the same as the user ID in the row, then they actually own this content. So return true. Cool. And then the other thing, if in case we miss this, we miss that, we should also check if this user is an admin or not. So here we'll have another if statement checking this. So we'll say here we're checking for admin. Actually, let's just say allowed like this. We'll say allowed. We'll add one item to the allowed, and this is the admin, like so. And who else is allowed? Super admin is also allowed. This way, if you want to allow other types of qualified ranks to be able to delete, you can just add as many as you want here. So the super admin can delete and the admin can delete. So all we need to check for is say is in array. Okay, so we're checking if the current user's rank, so instead of user ID here we have a rank, if the current logged in user's rank is inside the array. So here we need two parameters for this to work. We need what we are searching for, which is the rank, and where we are searching it from, which is in this allowed array. So copy allowed like that. So if in array allowed, then return true. Cool. Great. So we need to test this now. Alrighty then. I own content row, and then let's see what we get. So I will copy this, copy, and let's come down to where is this? So in the classes here, we'll only care if the user is a wait a minute here. Okay, so here we'll put two things here, lecturer and that. So first of all, we check if the person is a lecturer, that's okay, or we check if they own the content. So we'll put an and here and paste the I own content and put auth here. If auth I own content, and what content are we talking about in this case? So the content, this is in the function edit, for example, and the content is the row. So I will put that here like this. Okay, so copy this as well and take it to the delete part, which is here. Paste. Same thing here as well. Paste. Come up here and paste. Okay, cool. Very nice, very nice. What's remaining here is the add, which is on a different page entirely. So let's test this theory right here. So I'll go back, and this time I want to log in not as a super admin, but as a staff member. Okay, so we have a problem here. Constant expression contains invalid operations in 1111. So let's go to the auth 1111 right here. Right. So it's talking about this part here. Okay, let's just send this as false like this, just a default value, or instead let's make this mandatory. I'll just put that like this. Okay, cool. Okay, so there we go. Now I want to log in as a lecturer, as Mr. Vibe. So profile, let's see what the email is, and that's what it is. So copy, and let's log out. Let's log in at this guy, password, enter, and we are here. So now let's go to classes. And here, as you remember, I am supposed to be able, because I am a lecturer here, in this case, right? I'm supposed to be able to delete. So if I click here, you see that it says access denied. If I click edit, access denied. Now let's see if it won't do that when I go back to classes. And let's say on the edit alone, I remove this I own content like this. So refresh and click edit. Oops. Something else is going on here. So, okay, I removed on the wrong place. So it's supposed to be here, down here. So let me remove the I own content here, because this is what displays the view. So if I click on edit, so you see now I'm able to edit this because I am a lecturer here. But the problem is I'm not the lecturer that created this class. So I shouldn't be able to do this. So I'll undo this to leave it there. And now I am unable to edit or delete this content. But if I log in as the one that created the content, I should be able to do it. So yahoo.com and then password. So back to classes, and now let's see if I can edit, and there we go, I can. See that? Delete. Yeah. So at least now we have two ways to limit access. Now the thing we need to do in the next video is limit everything from now on to specific staff members or students. I'll see you in the next video.